in the future, like 30 years, there's gonna be like college students writing like dissertations on the Poppy War series. Hello everyone, it's me Krissa, and today I'm going to be filming a tier ranking video. So today I'm going to be tier ranking all of the books that I read in 2023, and I'm actually kind of really excited because this is going to be my first tier ranking video. So I'm really, I don't know, kind of excited to get to pick where to put like each book and explain my reasoning behind it, because whenever I did my videos for the best books and the worst books of 2023, there were a lot of books that like I didn't get to talk about. So today's kind of going to be like my chance to talk about a few of those books. So first I'm going to walk you through my tier levels and kind of like explain the thought that went into creating them and what kind of books I'm going to put on those tiers. So the first one is reread worthy. That one kind of like speaks for itself. It's just gonna be books that I enjoyed so much that I would be willing and ready to reread them. Number 2 or tier 2 is going to be called It Gave. So that's just basically books that are like 5 stars, 4 stars, and that I really enjoyed, and that I feel like they really accomplished what the author like set out to do with. The next one's going to be called A for Effort, because those are going to be like kind of like the 3-star books that like I didn't love, but I also didn't hate. Like I felt like I needed a tier for like those kind of books. So that's what is going to be like A for Effort, especially like books that like I kind of enjoyed like the concept, but maybe just not like the execution of it, or there was something that was just like lacking in general, and that's why it was like really just like kind of mid. And then the next one is going to be called I Read That. So basically these are gonna this tier is going to be for the books that I thought were forgettable, or the books that like I can't remember reading basically, or that I don't remember the plots, the characters, or anything like significant, just because it was so like either lackluster or boring, or just like just wasn't it for me. So that's gonna be like I Read That tier. Like I read that, like, are you sure? So the next one is gonna be like what was the reason?
What was the reason?
So basically in that tier, books that like I found that they just had like something that was just like ridiculous, or was like so what was the reason for, number one, writing the book, or what was the reason for the plot, or what was the reason for that character, or like there's just something in the book that I was like, dude, like what was the reason for even writing this book? Like this book was just like trash basically. And then bottom tier is just going to be why am I admitting that I read this? So it's going to be like books that were like basically like cringe, or like low-key like problematic. So that's what that tier is gonna be for. Hopefully not that many books are on it, but like I had to create the tier because whenever I was going through the books that I had read this year, I was like, yeah, there's a few that should go on that tier. So okay, we're gonna start, and this is just like a quick thing, a quick picture of the books that I read. So the first one is I don't know if it's the Beguines or Biguines or whatever, the Beguines of Medieval Paris. So this is a book that I read for school. Like I remember reading it because I had to read it and write a whole essay on it. So it's not forgettable, but at the same time, like I didn't enjoy it. I'm not gonna reread it. I don't know if I want to say A for Effort or It Gave. I think A for Effort's a little bit like because it gave the information I needed to write the story. I mean, to write the essay. So I will say It Gave. I guess I'll just put it It Gave. I didn't realize how hard this is gonna be. This one is The Girl in the Sea, and this was a graphic novel about this like teenage girl who like meets the Selkie, and then but she's like in the closet basically, but like she gets to spend some days like with the girl, and kind of like falls in love with her. it wasn't exactly like bad. It also wasn't like reread worthy, I don't think. So I'm just gonna go with I kind of want to go with A for effort, like because it wasn't like really all that, you know what I mean? But it wasn't bad either. So that's kind of what that's for. The next book is going to be The Shadow Club, and while it wasn't exactly like forgettable, it didn't really give anything. Like there was a second book, and I didn't feel the need to read it. I didn't even feel like, you know how at the end of the book sometimes they give you like an excerpt, like the first like 10-15 pages of like the second book. I didn't even read it. So while it wasn't forgettable, I don't really feel like it gave anything. Maybe it's because like it was made for a little bit younger audience than me, obviously at my old age. But I'm gonna put it in A for effort because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like top tier. Focus was actually a book that I read for school, and I did enjoy the book, and I thought it was like really good. I'm not gonna reread it, but I will say that it did give like it gave me a lot of good information. The Patient Ferment was another book that I read for school, but this one was like so redundant. And then like personally, I really like Constantine the Great, and this man was like shitting on him. So I'm kind of gonna give this one like A for effort, just because like it was good, but at the same time, like leave Constantine alone. Like he tried. So this is Future Proof, yet another book that I read for school. A lot, like only a few of these are books that I read for school. But this one, I will say that it gave, because it was like trying to help you. It was for my social media class, okay? So it was just kind of trying to help you learn how to be future proof. So in the age that like AI and robots and like different like programs might be in a position to like steal or automate your jobs, like it was saying like basically what to do in order to not become so easily replaceable. And I feel like it did give like a lot of like good information that like really applies to me. So that's why I'm gonna be putting it in It Gave. So bro, All of the Bright Places, I don't know why, but I kind of want to put this in like A for effort, or what was the reason? Because this book like was like low-key problematic. Like just the way that like it kind of like romanticizes like mental illness, but like so do I. So I can't really like fault it on that. But at the same time, it was kind of enjoyable. There was like at the end, it did become like kind of a journey story when it was just her by herself. Spoiler. That part was a little bit like less enjoyable than the beginning, but I will say A for effort. And then also my one complaint was like, so look at this cover. So based on this cover, I thought that like the main, like his name was Finch. I thought he was like black low-key because of the cover, okay? So tell me, like, you will not understand how confused I was. Like, when throughout the book, they keep making mentions of like pale skin and like the like long straight hair. And so when it kept talking about the pale skin, I was like, is he light skinned? Like, is he sick? Like what's going on? But then like I realized like halfway through the book that he wasn't actually black. That like I guess they just casted like a black author for I guess they just casted a black actor for the movie. So like I was so confused. Like, and then I watched the movie after I finished the book. I watched the movie, and like it was a bit disappointing. Like he was not like it was not as poetic or wanting to be as like the book wanted to be poetic, but I will say it accomplished that better than the movie did. Okay, so that's why I'm just gonna put it in A for effort, because like I did somewhat enjoy it. The Tea Dragon Society is the next book, and while it was like really cute, I'm gonna put it in like I read that, because I don't really like remember anything. I don't think there was much of a plot. Like it was just forgettable to me. The Pearl. So The Pearl was a book that I read like not too long after I read Of Mice and Men, just because I had really enjoyed Of Mice and Men, so I wanted to try to get into like John Steinbeck's other work. But I did not like The Pearl as much as I liked Of Mice and Men. But I will say it wasn't forgettable, and it had like a lot of important themes. But like at the same time, it just didn't give what I had wanted it to give after reading Of Mice and Men. So I'm gonna put A for effort. The next one's like The Art of Seduction by the same person who wrote the 48 Laws of Power. And so this was like a really good book. Like, it's informational, but at the same time I kind of don't know if I should put it under reread worthy, or why am I admitting that I read this, because it is problematic. It like teaches you basically like I mean, seduce is like a strong word, so I wouldn't just say how to seduce people like romantically, but also like socially, and like how to work a crowd basically. So it is reread worthy of like, these are like really like good tactics, but at the same time, are they ethical? Not exactly, but they're useful. So, because I might reread this in the future, but I won't admit to rereading it. So I'll just put it under, why am I admitting that I read this? I think that's good enough. So the Tao Poo, that was like a good book, but at the same time, like, I read that. I think I actually listened to the audiobook while I was putting my dresser together. So I don't know if it was just forgettable, or if I just wasn't like sitting there like tuned in, because I just had it in the background when I was like assembling my dresser. But for now, it's gonna be in I read that. I feel like a lot of books are gonna be kind of in that tier. So Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. So I actually want to read more books by that author in the future, because I did kind of enjoy this one, and there's other books that I really do want to read. This was just like a graphic novel about like literally the last night of these two friends working at like a pumpkin patch. It was like really predictable, because so the main guy falls in love with this other girl, but like from afar. So you can tell it's one of those crushes where you're more in love with the idea of the person than the actual person themselves. But then he has like a best friend who he's really close with, and like they kind of realize in the end that they really like each other, you know? So this one, like while I will say like, okay, like yeah, A for effort, at the same time I didn't like it that much. So I'll just kind of put like I read that, just because like it didn't really like make an impact. Contagious was another book that I read for school, but it was teaching how to make like a product, an idea, or a business contagious, viral. Like basically I would recommend this because I think it's really good. Like my only like quip is that like the author helps use examples on how to apply his like strategies to your own work, but like I'm just not very like imaginative when it comes to like certain things. When it comes to like books and writing, I can be very like imaginative and like creative, but when it comes to like business kind of stuff, I'm just like, bruh. I would say it's reread worthy, because maybe in the future I will reread it just to learn a bit more about like marketing and doing that kind of stuff. So Always, Forever, Maybe. This book pissed me off, like, to be honest. Like, this book literally pissed me off. So it follows this girl, is a teenager, and she falls in love with this freaking dude who is like literally a piece of shit and manipulative, and begins to like emotionally, verbally, like mentally abuse her. It starts getting physical towards the end, but like spoiler alert, she does stop it. So that was like good for her. But like I think the author was trying to write this book to market towards YA, like young adults, like the teenagers, so that if they ever did get in this kind of situation, they would be able to recognize that they were in a potentially abusive relationship and get out of it. But at the same time, the execution was just like really kind of like fell flat for me. It was just like a frustrating read, low-key, because the main character was kind of just like stupid, so it just kind of pisses you off like a little bit more. But the main character is supposed to be stupid so that you can like be frustrated by her actions and like see the signs and know what not to do and how not to think. But at the same time, it was just like annoying. So I'm gonna put this one under like, what was the reason, bro? Like I know what the reason for writing the book was and what the author was trying to do, but like, what was the reason for me reading it? Because like, and the whole thing too, like I was just mad the whole entire time I was reading this book, to be honest. So what was the reason? So Juniper and Thorn was actually a book that I really did enjoy, and I already checked out Ava Reed's next book so that I can read that too. I want to read A Study in Drowning, but the one that I checked out was, I want to say, The Wolf and the Huntsman. I'm not sure, I think that's the title, but I really enjoyed Juniper and Thorn. Am I gonna reread it? Most likely not. Like, I only like to read things that are like either like extremely nostalgic, informative, or philosophical, you know? So this book, it was like neither one of those things, but I did have a good time when I was reading it. So I'm gonna put it under It Gave. Neon Gods by Katie Robert was literally a book that I was disappointed by, because there was so much talk about it for like the longest time. I was literally going to buy it at first, and then I found it at the library. So that's why I'm so happy that I did not buy it, because like when I read this book, I was just annoyed and just like, it was stupid. Like there are so many things that were lacking in the book. I actually have it in like the worst reads of 2023, because it was a worst read of 2023 for me. I did not enjoy the book at all. Like there were so many different things that weren't explained, and like the whole entire like grumpy sunshine trope that the author was trying to do with Persephone's and Hades, like I did not like at all. I did not like the way that she wrote like Hades' character. Like I didn't like the whole conflict with like Zeus, with Demeter. Like I feel like she was really trying to do like a whole like political like intrigue, a political struggle, like type of thing on the side too. That was not executed well. I just did not like the story. Even like the smut was like not good. So I'm gonna put this one under what was the reason, just because what was the reason for like the geography of the book, like where is everything, that pissed me off, and what was the reason of me reading it. So next is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. I did really enjoy this book. I will say that it did take me like 3 tries to actually read it, because like at first, like the beginning, I could not get into the beginning. So like I wouldn't say that it's exactly like reread worthy, but it did give. What did it give exactly? Unexplainable. It gave vibes. I will say that it gave vibes. This is a very atmospheric book that like I feel like you read just for like the writing style, because the writing style was very nice, and for the vibes. Like the plot was okay, and like the whole like history behind it was okay, but like really you're just reading it for the vibes. But it gave in that sense. And even like the whole story was like, it was enjoyable. It just wasn't like reread worthy, I would say. But this Code of the Samurai was, I would say, reread, because basically it's just a collection of it's kind of like, you know, like The Art of War or Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So it's like one of those books that gives like a lot of like different bits of like information and like advice, but like it's not very like cohesive, so it's just like kind of scattered in like different like topics, but it's still like very good and very informative. I would say it's reread worthy, just because there's a lot of like good information in the story, and you can get a lot out of it. So the next book I'm going to be talking about is She Kills Me. So this was a book that kind of talked about different like female killers throughout the last few centuries. And I'm just gonna put I read that. It wasn't a story per se, so it's not like something that you're gonna remember from beginning to end, like the actual plot itself. But like it was just like broken up into like different like female killers. So it was just kind of forgettable in that sense. But like the writer did a good job in like compiling the information and making it very interesting. But at the same time, it felt like an episode of Deadly Women when you just watch it, but then like later on, like it's not like you remember like every aspect. You remember like the most gruesome crimes, but you're not gonna like sit there and like really dwell on it, you know what I mean? So this one is Creation Stories of the Ancient World. And so this one was very good, especially from like a information standpoint. Helped my understanding of different creation myths as they appear around the world. So I will say that it gave, because I learned a lot from it. And like I like how it kind of went into not just creation stories themselves and comparing them from region to region, but also like why we have creation stories. The Liar's Daughter. I did not enjoy this book like at all, but it was not forgettable because of like how much I did not enjoy it. So The Liar's Daughter is basically a story about this girl who like grows up in the cult basically, and then spoiler alert, the cult gets raided and she gets like taken away from the cult, and that's it. That's the whole entire story basically. It was like really frustrating because like just the execution was just extremely lacking, because I feel like it's such a complex topic that the author could have done like a really like deep dive into, and the author did not. So it was like very like disappointing, just because like I felt like so much more could have been done with the book and nothing was done with it. Like the main character didn't even really dwell on the fact that she was in a cult. Like obviously if you grow up in one, you're supposed to be like brainwashed until obviously something happens that you start questioning like like the cult and the cult leader and like the whole reason why you're doing these things. Like that never really happened. So I'm just gonna say, what was the reason, bro? Because like what was the reason of writing a book about a girl who like lived in a cult and then had to be taken from it, without actually writing a book about a girl who lived in a cult and had to be taken from it, and her journey of like relearning the ways of the world and like reframing her way of thinking. Like, you know, I feel like Waylaid was like problematic as fuck. I will say that. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like loosely based off of the author's personal experiences. I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on that. But I feel like it was. But like, bro, what was the reason of sharing that shit? Some of that stuff you should just like, I don't know, like left alone. Like just keep to yourself, you know? But like, I don't know, it's just kind of like it was just problematic in like the sense of like race, like gender relations. It was good in the sense that we got to see like a first generation like Chinese boy and like his life and how he fits in, how he doesn't fit in, like the ways that he kind of like grapples with the world and kind of like coexist in between like his family's like Chinese heritage and like the American world that he lives in. Like, but at the same time, like there's just so much like if you read the book, you know what I mean. I'm like, and I think it was marketed to like, I don't know, people younger. Like it's like literally like a YA. Like I would say like a low YA, maybe like 13 to like 15 years old would be like, for like 13 to 15-year-old boys is like the target like demographic of the book. Maybe that's why I didn't like it. I'm like obviously a 23-year-old fucking girl. So Daisy Chains is a book that's actually based on a true case and about this girl who basically convinced her boyfriend to either kill himself or to die with her, but she didn't die. So this one, I would say, I don't know if I should put it under like I read that, because it was like very like forgettable, just because it wasn't like terrible, but at the same time it wasn't special. The Meaning of the Bible is another book that I read for school, and it was actually like really good and really informative. I will say that there were certain points that I did kind of skim over, just because like I would be late and doing like my work like the day of. So like obviously if the teacher assigns 30 pages, like bro, I don't have time to read that. So I skimmed over a lot of it. So I would put it under reread worthy, just because I would like to revisit the book and actually like do a deeper dive into some of the concepts that it was trying to teach us. But I did enjoy going over it the first time. I just feel I didn't give it enough attention. She Who Became the Sun was actually like a book that I had to kind of force myself to get through. Like, and then like I was reading the ebook at first, but then whenever I got to a certain point, it was just kind of like so boring. I switched to like the audiobook just to kind of like make it go faster. But like, it was just really like draining and kind of like really like forgettable. Like maybe one day I will like reread it just so I could see if it was really that bad, or if maybe it was just kind of the wrong time. Like if I was like kind of like in a reading slump, because as of right now, I'm just kind of like, I read that. I guess I'll just put it under I read that. So The Ghost Bride, I will say it gave. Like without a doubt, The Ghost Bride gave. I really liked how it kind of dived into culture, history, and afterlife practices. So I really did like that aspect of it. And then actually what pissed me off was that Netflix made a show about it. But whenever I was watching the trailer, I could see that they had changed like quite a few aspects of the book in order to adapt it into a show. And I'm not a fan of whenever they do that shit. Basically, like to give a quick summary, maybe including spoilers, it's about this girl who it's about this girl who gets basically married to this boy who had already died, because like so there's multiple reasons for ghost marriages. Sometimes I do a ghost marriage before the person actually dies as a way of hoping that it could save their life, because like their spirit will want to or their soul will want to live now that they're married. Or sometimes it would just be to give the spirit rest in the afterlife, like because now it's married, you know. So it was like this girl who had got married to like the spirit of the boy who like lived next door. Basically like her getting haunted by that dude, and then having to figure out how to stop the haunting. So that's like a very basic summary of it, because I don't want to spoil it too much, because it was really good. So I would recommend it to anyone who's interested in that kind of thing. So it's there. Maybe one day I will like reread it just so that I could watch the show and kind of compare the two. That would be interesting. So the next one is Understanding Biblical Theology, and this was yet another book that I did read for school. And while it was very short, it was very dense. Like it was short, but it was dense in information. So I was tired. I'm tired just thinking about that book. So I mean, I will say it gave information. It gave like a lot of information. That would, yeah, I have to put in it gave, just because I did learn a lot through reading the book. And like it like the author obviously, like, well, the two authors accomplished what they set out to do with the book, which is like explain like biblical theology and like the different approaches to it. But I'm not gonna reread the book, like, period. Like, I'm not. But I will say that it gave the information I needed. So a fast, easy way to learn a language is obviously a book about language learning, but it's one of like, I want to say 3 or 4 books that I had read within the same period of time that were all about like language learning. So I can't really like differentiate it from the other ones that I read, but I will say that they were all very good in giving me different like tips on how to pick up like languages. My target language is Mandarin. I was learning Korean for a while, But like that grammar structure is just like it's doing the most, like honestly. And then plus like I was just doing it so I could get with the K-pop boys. Obviously that's never gonna happen. But I like Mandarin better than Korean, like at this point in my life. I don't know how it's gonna be in another couple years, whatever. I like Mandarin a lot at this point in time, and I'm doing like a lot of personal work with like Chinese literature, culture, history, like Mandarin obviously, and then plus like I'm like got a little something going on with like a Chinese person, so I really like needed to learn the language and have like good books on the topic itself. So that's why I'm going to put it under it gave, just because like it gave me some good tips. Like obviously it kind of skimmed over like the Mandarin portion. I feel like all of the 3 books I read skimmed over the Mandarin portion, which was kind of annoying, but like it is what it is, you know. And so same for Fluent Forever. So I will say that out of the ones I read, Fluent Forever was, I want to say, the best one out of all of them, and the one I would recommend the most. The next one is The Fire Dancer. So The Fire Dancer is actually a book by Rebecca Knight. And I don't know if any of you guys know this, but like I write books and I have a publishing company called Dodge and Roll Publishing. And Rebecca Knight is my friend. So I actually helped her publish her books under my company. I'm like her beta reader. So any books that she comes out with, I read them first. And I just kind of give her like some feedback on them. So The Fire Dancer, I can't say that I'm not biased, because obviously like she's a really good friend of mine. So I am biased. So I'm going to put this under it gave, because like it's an erotic short. Like it did what she set out to make it do, and that's like end of story, you know. An Idiot's Guide to Chinese. So this one had to focus more on like conversational Chinese, which was like really good. I'll probably put this under reread worthy. It was like an audiobook, just so I could like continue to practice my conversational Chinese, you know. This next one is Homeless Bird. So I kind of really enjoyed this book. This book was about this girl who like it's not a ghost marriage, because like the dude was not dead, but he was on the brink of dying. And so basically his family had gotten her to marry him in a hopes that like it would make him stronger and give him like more will to live, but the boy ended up dying anyways. So then the girl begins to suffer at like the hands of her her in-laws, and not have a good time at their house basically. So then they take her to this city where is a city for widows basically. So then they drop her off there, and so she's forced to kind of fend for herself, you know. So I would say that it gave, because like I don't want to put every book under it gave, but this book truly did give. It was a good book, and I like cultural books that like kind of look into like different cultural aspects of a certain country or a certain culture, and this book did. So I will say that it gave. The Red Butterfly was a picture book. I'm gonna call it a picture book because it was for children. It's not a graphic novel, it's a picture book that I read. Like I don't know why, when it's obviously like for children under the age of 10, probably no older than 7. I'm gonna put it under like I read that. And then okay, so this next series, I have some words about it. So this one, it's 3 books. Let me scroll down and look. So the first one was, why are they not together? Was Girls with Sharp Sticks. The second one was Girls with Razor Hearts. Let me move them so that I could just do them all together. And the last one was Girls with Rebel Souls. So the first one, Girls with Sharp Sticks. So even though the book was kind of predictable, I did give it 5 stars just because I really enjoyed the book and I enjoyed the author's execution of the plot. And while it was like a bit predictable, I would say that you really didn't know what was going to go on. Or no, not that you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know what was happening. Like because obviously like there's this group of girls who live at this boarding school and there's something that's not right. So obviously when you're reading the story, you kind of start realizing that something's not right, but you just don't know what's not right, you know? But while it did take a while to kind of like figure out what exactly was going on with the girls and the boarding school, it did follow that predictable pattern of like, spoiler alert, girls who aren't really girls, or like that's kind of like, I don't know, that's problematic to say because like everything not girls who aren't really girls, but like girls who are either being engineered, like genetically modified, or brainwashed by the use of like pills, like that category. Like when you see the girls who like there's like a couple movies about it, I can't remember, but like when they there's even like you know, episodes of like Are You Afraid of the Dark, or like Goosebumps, like that one episode where like the kids are getting like brainwashed to be like the perfect kids and stuff like that. Like that's what this book is basically, but like with a deeper undertone that I'm not going to get into, but it is good. So I'm going to put it gave, but only for the first book, because while the first book was 5 stars, the second book was 4 stars, and the third book was actually 4, like low 4, high 3 stars. So I'm also gonna put that under like A for effort, because it didn't give, I would say, but it wasn't like so bad that it was forgettable, and it wasn't terrible either. It just like, I feel like it just didn't match like the level that the first book was on. The Sharecropper's Wife, I'm actually going to put that one under reread worthy, just because like it is by Rebecca Knight, you know, so I really did enjoy it, but I did already read it twice, so I did reread it. It's one of the books I reread, so I did enjoy it. So basically it is like a erotic like novella, just to like let you know. So it has spice in it if you're like into that kind of thing, but like, cause she's like she's an erotic author basically. Later on this year, she's going to put out like her first full-length novel, but it is gonna have spice in it, but it's not going to be categorized as a erotic novel like how her other work is. But this one, I feel like kind of, it was her first like it was longer than her other works, and it was trying to focus more on a plot rather than just like the smut. So I really did enjoy it more than I enjoyed her other works. So that's why like I do have to put it in like a higher tier than where her other works are gonna go. And then plus I really enjoyed like all the characters. I enjoyed like the plot. I enjoyed like her execution of it. So I will say that it was reread worthy. Sleepy Hollow, bro. Okay, straight to what was the reason, bro. Like straight up, what was the reason? I hated that book. I hated that book so hard. I hated that book for like the hour it took me to read it. I hated that shit so bad. I talk about it in the worst reads of 2023 video that I have. It was just very disappointing. So I don't know if it was just very disappointing because I had watched the Sleepy Hollow show, like the one on the CW, and then expected Ichabod Crane to be like that, and then I read the book and I was like, what the hell? What is going on? Like, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is like considered a classic, but that show's whack. Like, I don't know why it's considered a classic. What does classic mean then? Like, if this book is a classic, what does classic mean? Because some people just say, okay, if a book is published before a certain time, like a certain year, it's considered a classic. But I don't agree with that, because there are certain books that are published, yeah, before, let's say, like 1950. Just because it's published before 1950 doesn't make it a classic. I think the fact that it has like characters and themes and like a plot and like a critique of success, like either a critique or insight into society that still is relevant today, is kind of what makes things a classic. I feel like That's why I agree that Of Mice and Men is a classic, just because of like the themes and the characters, like, and it's like a critique of like society, like it's still relevant today. That's why I consider that a classic, you know. But The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, like, garbage. So The Deep by Rivers Solomon, I would say that that book was mostly vibes. I did enjoy it and I enjoyed the concept of it, but I felt like there was a little bit something lacking. So I'm gonna put this one under A for effort. I am still looking forward to reading some of the books, the other books by the author, but this one, it just like was kind of like a 3-star read for me personally. It revolves on the idea of like the enslaved people who had jumped ship rather than be brought to the new world to be forced into slavery. Like, it kind of follows what would have happened if they would have survived in the sea and created an offspring that like was able to live in the sea and retain those memories, and kind of had these like, it was a yearly thing where they would like share these memories with another, but there was the one main character who was the keeper of those memories. So like while it kind of like I really did like the concept of it, like I don't know if it was the execution or if it was just like the time period that I read it in that made me like not see it as like a 5-star read, just for me personally. But it was like pretty like artistic, and the writing was very like beautiful. The book was atmospheric. Okay, so the next book I'm going to be talking about is also by Rebecca Knight. It's called The Hottie at the Gym, or Trained by the Hottie at the Gym. So this one I'm going to be putting under It Gave, just because like I mean, it wasn't like some kind of like literary masterpiece, but at the same time, It Gave not only means, okay, yeah, it was like a masterpiece in my opinion, it means that the book accomplished what the author set out to do. So this is an erotic short, so I would say that the book accomplished what the author set out to do. So this one is Kekaguri. It was like a manga, and so it's the first volume. I would put under I read that, because I think I only read it because I couldn't find my phone for 3 days. I could not find my phone, so I needed to read something. So I had to go to my bookshelf and see what books I actually had that I had not read yet. So this was one of them. So I just read it just because I needed entertainment. Blood Oath is basically, I read that. You know, I don't really remember anything about the book itself, the characters, the plot, none of that. I don't remember. I read it like literally in January, and like the same day as I read a lot of other books. Like because I got like the free trial to Kindle Unlimited, so I was using the hell out of that shit. So I was reading like a lot of the Comixology originals, and this was one of them. And then Reynoso, I'm gonna put this one under A for effort, because the story was good. It was kind of predictable, but the story was good. Ghost 19, first of all, what was the reason? Like, no hesitation, I hate this fucking book. Like, I should have made a tier called I hate this book, and this would be like the only book, well, this and Sleepy Hollow would be the only book that was literally on that tier, because I cannot stand Ghost 19. It was just so stupid. Like, it was short but just stupid. And like what was the reason? Like, I don't know if I should be asking what was the reason for me reading it, like finishing it, when I realized I didn't like it. Or I think it was only 2 hours. I think it was like rounding up 2 hours, and I just needed to I just wanted to like finish it and just get through it, and it was just like really disappointing. It was really whack. So I don't know if it was like what was the reason why I read it, or what was the reason why it was written in the first place. Like, it tried to be like a psychological horror when like the main character doesn't know if they're crazy or if they're really being haunted, but I do not care. Hello everyone, so this is post-production Krista, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I am going to be cutting this video into 2 parts because I was just talking for too long that it doesn't make sense to post it in like its entirety, or if it does, I would like to give you the option to watch it in 2 parts or the whole thing, just so that some don't feel intimidated by the length. So this is going to be the end of part 1, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to be putting up part 2 in a couple of days, and then a couple of days after that I will be putting up the full video, so that if you want to watch it in its entirety you could just click onto that one. So thank you so much for getting to the end of this video, and sorry if you got to the end and then you realized that it was not the actual end, but I just thought it would be better to do it this way just because it is so long. But thank you for being understanding, and have a nice day.